Good day, dear students. We are starting, as I told you in the previous class, The Fire and the Rain by Girish Karnad. And we need to know more about Girish Karnad because it's something that we have to know. That is, as an author, as a writer, what kind of a person he is, or what kind of a writer he is, and the type of writing that he specializes in. The particular play, The Fire and the Rain by Girish Karnad, is indeed significant. So we need to know more about Karnad. He was born on May 19th, 1938 at Matheran. Now it is in Maharashtra, and he was brought up in Bengaluru, Karnataka. He died recently because I still remember that we had a meeting and so many people gathered to speak about Karnad because he is popular and his plays are academically excellent and even otherwise also. Performance part also very good, and he is in a way the dominant dramatic figure in India. And he died in the year 2019, June 10th. He was the recipient of Jnanapith Award for Kannada. And when you speak of his studies, the thing that comes to my mind is his time at the University of Oxford and also elsewhere. So he studied in Karnataka University and then University of Oxford. He is an eminent playwright, and I have learned Hayavadana. It's a beautiful play. It's interesting also. It's quite extraordinary. Dialogues are superb. Nagamandala, of course, your seniors had Nagamandala, an extremely well written play with a lot of issues put into it, plus with the background of the background of the common man's life, and also the way it is, the folk elements are combined in it effectively. Then there is Yayadi, Tughlaq, and he had published his plays were published as collected plays volume 1 and volume 2, and this play, The Fire and the Rain, belongs to volume 2. He was a very good actor. He acted in Hindi films, Kannada films, and also in Kannada he had the films like Kadu, Mandan is Hindi, and Tiger Zinda is Hindi. Vamshavruksha is indeed a film that he acted in, and there is also the popular Hindi films like the Swami. So he was the son of a Konkani speaking Dr. Raghunath Karnad and Krishna Bhai, and the place where they lived in was in Bombay Presidency at that time, because it was the year 1938, not 1947. So naturally this was Bombay Presidency, and Girish Karnad was an ardent admirer of Yakshagana, and the travelling theatre groups visited his place, and he was much interested in them and started being part of that travelling theatre groups, because I'm sure that you are learning English drama and the origin of English drama, and there also you will find the travelling theatre groups or plays performed in the church and things like that. The same thing existed in our country also, and not just in Kerala but in Karnataka also. They had a beautiful or even prevailing travelling theatre group, and people used to come and settle in one place and perform, because that was the only way people could, the common man could really enjoy art. And in our place also, years back, there was a time, that is in January, February, March time, when you finish the harvesting, the field will be empty and stage will be set near or in connection with the temple. The stage will be set, and there we used to have Kada Prasangam and even performances, plays, etc. So that was one way of entertainment, and people very rarely went to the film or theaters in those days. So in all states or in all places, there is that folk elements and the folk arts existing, and Yachagana was one such of Karnataka, and he was a favorite or an admirer of Yachagana, and he had used part of this Yachagana in his Nagamandala and also in some of his other plays. And then they shifted to Sirsi. Sirsi is another place that Karnad settled in, and it is from there that he went on to the Harvard University, and then from there he became a Rhodes Scholar in the year 1960 to 63 at Magdalen in Oxford, and there he studied MA in philosophy. And to be a Rhodes Scholar means you need to write exams and pass that exam, and only then you will be selected for that particular scholarship. And he was successful in doing that, and this is what I remember about him, because he had an education after his degree in India, which means that he had excelled himself in such a way as to get a scholarship from there, and that was an opening that really helped him to establish as a favorite of the stage drama. He worked with and after his studies he returned to India and worked with Oxford University Press, that is OUP, and at Chennai for 7 years. And working there, he understood that that's not his usual or his life. So he resigned and took to writing full time. Writing full time in those days was possible because there were several writers for the stage. Stage was prevalent at that time, and it was much popular than the films at that time. So he took to writing full time, and the year 1987-88 he became a Fulbright playwright in residence at the University of Chicago. So in order to get the Fulbright scholarship, you need to establish yourself in your field, and from there you apply for the Fulbright scholarship. And he applied, and he was successful in becoming a playwright in residence at the University of Chicago. So that was a great honor for an Indian, and it's also work for him, which he really enjoyed. And he wrote Nagamandala at the Guthrie Theatre in Minneapolis, Greece, and he had Karnad's translation of the Kannada original of Nagamandala was performed at this theatre. So when he got a chance to perform his play, an Indian performing in Greece, and that too at an established theatre troupe like Guthrie Theatre, then it means that he has really reached there. Reached there is a term which means that he is now an accepted dramatist, and his Nagamandala performance must have been that excellent because he got an invitation again from the same theatre, and he was about to go over there when some things started changing. Again you will find that he was influenced by Mahabharata, that is C. Rajagopalachari's version of Mahabharata. Means Rajagopalachari had translated the stories of Mahabharata into English, and this had influenced Karnad. And this translation was in 1951. It was published in 1951, so that you can read the stories of Mahabharata without getting into the slogas, which are really very tough for common man to understand. So Rajav Balajari had compiled the stories and put it in under the different titles, and it was quite good reading. And I was able to read one volume. It is in so many volumes, and you can very easily read and understand the stories of Mahabharata. And Karnad was much influenced by the characters of Mahabharata, because you find that we have the stories of Mahabharata, we know what it is all about, but there are so many minor characters. Minor characters in the sense that they are not exactly minor, but at the same time they have their life has got a lot of dramaticality. And one such character is Yayadi. And so he took up the story of Yayadi, and he wrote the story in the play in 1961, and the play was a great success. And Yayadi is a character who borrowed youth from his son, and it's an interesting story. If you are interested, you can read the story of Yayadi from Mahabharata, and you will find that he is the one who had saved saved a maiden from the well. And there is a conflict of the princess and Devyani, and you will find the story is really interesting. So here you find that this Yayadi has got a lot of dramatic scope, and so he wrote the drama version of Yayadi. Not exactly Mahabharata as such, maybe he had put in the dialogue of his own, and so created a Yayadi who is a really interesting character. The play was a great success. It was followed by another play, Tughlaq, and later Hayvadana. Of course, Hayvadana was a play which was the result of the influence by the novel of Thomas Mann called The Transposed Heads. The Transposed Heads is the much influential novel by Thomas Mann, and Karnad had read that novel, and he was influenced by this novel. So he puts in Hayvadana the story of transposed heads in the Indian context. It makes very good reading, and you will find that he had used a horseman. So you find that he is indeed using that Gulliver's Travels type of horseman called Yahoo here, but in a totally different manner. And it's a really, really interesting drama, and you can imagine how good it will be when it is performed. Then of course there is Nagamandala, which was performed in 1988, based on a folk tale related to him by A.K. Ramanujan. A.K. Ramanujan is a renowned Indian poet or Indian writer of English, and he had translated several poems into English, Indian poems into English, and he also worked abroad for a long time, and his translations are really good, because he had translated from Kannada the poems of the Vajanam Kavigal, Vajanam poets, and they are really good. And he had also translated so many from the South Indian languages, because he could read and write some of the South Indian languages, and so his English translation was really good. So he was also another person who was interested in folklore and folktale, and he had related the story of Nagamandala to Karnad, and the story of a Naga, and Karnad had used that material, plus he had put in a lot of issues that are connected to it. Then Agnimati Male, that is called The Fire and the Rain, and of course this is really important. This play which you have to study is indeed significant. So before we go to the film or go to the play, Let's see what Girish Karnad had become. His main interest is to write plays and perform them. He was much interested in that, and he was interested in movies also. There is one play called Iqbal, which was there in 2005, and I think it is an interesting play, interesting film, which you ought to see. How he was training a young man, a young country fellow, to use the bat and be a cricketer and things like that. So it's really good. Then, of course, the film called Pukar Ashian in 2010. He was indeed a versatile genius, because by the time 2000 came about, the drama stage was going back, or it was pushed to one side, and film was coming or taking its place. So that is when you people were born, you are familiar with the films, not with the drama or the dramatic stage. But we are familiar with the drama and the dramatic stage. So that kind of difference is there. And so he did not stick on to drama alone. When the chance came, he became an actor. Not just an actor in the drama, but also in the films. Somehow or other, he could really speak English. He could speak Kannada, Hindi definitely, and so he could speak a lot of other languages too. So that in a way must have helped him out. You must have seen some of his films, Tamil films also. He was there in some of the Tamil films, maybe as a villain also in Tamil films, and he was a versatile genius. He combined both folklore and modernism in his plays. This is why his plays are so very interesting, extremely interesting. Even to read also, these plays are interesting, and performance perfectly, because these plays are, some people write plays, but they are called closet dramas, and you can't really do much about it, because there is no element of performance drama there. So naturally you have to know what it is all about. So he combined folklore and modernism in his plays, and his first love was always drama. He brought in not just the common themes or common characters, he brought in unusual themes taken from folk elements like Yachagana. But the Yachagana element will be there, but he was making an effective combination of modernism plus this folk element. So this is why you find it so very interesting. And so you get to know about Yachagana, because we are Keralites and we don't have much knowledge of Yachagana. But after reading Nagamandala, you start reading on Yachagana and you get to know that, and you get involved in that. So in a way he was trying to bring in a cultural combination in his plays, and he was extremely successful in doing that also. And I must say that he is indeed a person who really had a lot of things to contribute to the Indian stage. And he was not disappointed when films took precedence over a drama, because that is the way the world is. And performance of a play means you need to have a lot of money, and somebody must sponsor you, and there must be audience. And audience in the sense that when films came to the theaters, it is quite easy to get immersed in a film rather than be there in the theater and watch the stage setting and the drama. Only if you are that devoted to stage, you will be interested in drama. And Karnad's plays are all dramatically very good, and performance was excellent, but it needs a lot of money and also a lot of effort. And there were a lot of people taking the effort to perform Karnad's play, and he himself was directing them for some time. But you will find that the interest of the populace or the people became much less and less. And with the coming of the television, people had totally abandoned the drama theatres because it is costly. So when you can get a seat at the film for the film theater for 100 rupees, you will may have to pay maybe more than 250 rupees for a drama performance, and you'll have to wait through that also. That is in a way, when everything is very quick, speeded moving, and when you have a TV before you, why should you go out to the theater even for a film? That's what people believed for a long time. And there were CDs also in 2000s, 2000, and naturally no need to visit the theater, and paying the money for the tickets is also, you can save that when you have a CD, and from the CD time you have the latest movies coming in the different channels, so naturally you stick on to the TV. And who will pay so much of money and go over to the theater and watch a drama performance? Nobody. So understanding all this, he was there actively on the stage drama, writing and performing, and some devoted people were there in the troupe, and they had much interest in drama also. And then again you will find that he as an actor moved on to the film world. So here you find that the play prescribed for his study is called The Fire and the Rain. It is the theme of this play is taken from Mahabharata, but presents as a play within the play. So it is like adding the story of the origin of the drama. That is, he had added the story of the origin of drama because he was much interested in that version. And the film version of The Fire and the Rain is called Agnivarsha. And you can, considering the impact of the films, you will find that film acting is quite easy, and there were several takes, but when you perform on stage there is no correcting that. You will have to perform as it is. So that difference he could really understand. So he was mingling easily with film acting without totally abandoning the stage acting, and at the same time he was writing for the stage, and he was a person who could handle Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, all alike, and he had his own translation of his Kannada writings into English, and he could, because the author himself, the writer himself is translating his Kannada version to English. He could really take the liberty whatever that he wants, and at the same time he can do that translation without losing the soul of the story. And in a way he is a versatile genius. And he said earlier that he was much interested in adding the story of the origin of drama. It is believed that drama was originated from Indra, and naturally you will find that it was given over to Bharata, and Bharata had formulated rules and regulations for the acting, and from the gods it came over to the human beings, and the human beings had the power to act, and the actors were all people from not from the higher caste but from the lower caste. So if you are if you are a Brahmin and if you are acting in a drama, then it means that you have changed over to the other world and you have become an actor, which means that you are no longer a Brahmin, but you have born a Brahmin, but now you are not. And that kind of a situation was there, and this is how the story of the origin of drama came about. And Karna uses this story of the origin of the drama in his Fire and the Rain in order to get an authenticity to the Mahabharata story, and that because in there you will find the use of the story, and that's why he had added the story of the origin of drama in a different manner, that is a play within the play aspect. There is of course a drama, but this drama is inside that play. That is, the play Fire and the Rain starts, and they are going to have a performance, and so in the performance there is a story. Okay, so this is called the play within the play. You will find that Shakespeare had used play within the play technique in Hamlet, when Hamlet wanted to reveal certain secrets and he can't speak out. So there was this itinerant actors, means the traveling actors, as we have mentioned here. In all countries, they have traveling musicians and traveling theater troupes. And when they came over, Hamlet had given them an idea about what he want them to perform, and they agreed to perform that before the king and the queen. And there you have a play that is called the play within the play, and the story was revealed, and the king and the queen was really struck by the similarity of the events which they had hidden effectively, and it was revealed to Hamlet by his father's ghost, and the story was given to the play troupe, drama troupe, and they performed that. So you find that it was effective in bringing about the truth to the forefront. So here he is using that play within the play technique. It's a technique, and he is trying to combine both the play plus the reality, or reality of the play. So play and the play within the play you will find in this version. So here you are going to have a play which is done by a very good dramatist, actor, film actor, and indeed a versatile genius, a person who could really write, or in a way combine both the Indian and Western culture and produce something that is marvelous, and giving to the world a play in English about, or combining the elements of Indian culture, especially Kannada culture, and especially the folklore, and bringing to the forefront these stories. You'll find a lot of such stories in folklore. If you are really interested in doing that, you will get to know the folklore of your area. There are a lot of things like that, and people had started collecting it and compiling it in order to retain the culture of their country. And Karnad had liberally borrowed from that and put it into his play, and he had combined modernism also. In Nagmandala, it is an extremely modern story, but with the Yachagana added to it, and that is the folk element that he had borrowed from Kannada and had brought in a winner. This is the only term for it, because his plays are indeed winning stories. So let's see how he had really succeeded in bringing about this version of the story Fire and the Rain to the forefront. He also tells us that he had used the term Agni instead of the usual term for fire in Kannada, because Agni is a term taken from Sanskrit, and even in Malayalam also we have Agni. In Malayalam, fire can be translated as Agni or even as Thiya, and the same type of words you will find in Kannada also. So Karnad is very particular that he should use the term Agni and not the common term for fire from the locality for his title, because when you use the term Agni, then it has got a broader connotation, because when you have a yaga, then you use the term Agni and not the local translation for fire there. and in that manner he is very careful about the using of the terms, using of the people, using of the characters, using of the situation, and bringing about a story. And you will never get bored with the plays of Girish Karnad. You have several plays of Karnad, one better than the other. You will not find any similarity at all with one theme or the other, because sometimes when a dramatist writes stories one after the others, there is that uh, uh, that feeling that he is repeating certain things, but in this case there is nothing. So you will find each one is unique in itself, and that's what makes Karnad really versatile genius. And unfortunately for you, he is dead and gone. And at the same time, you'll find a lot of videos from him talking about drama, and talking about and discussing the various aspects of the plays, which are really interesting to watch. So if you get time, better watch some of these videos, and some of the performances of his dramas. They are all there, and it is available also in YouTube. And whenever you get time, it is good to watch them. Since you don't have the books with you, you can, since the library is not open, you can use these videos, watch them, and get to know the way in which Karnad had created a dramaticality about the stories that he had borrowed from Yakshagana and also from the modern world, and how he had combined it effectively. And that will be an eye opener for you, and then you will be able to get into the play that you have to study this semester. Okay, and all the best for you, and see you in the next class. Thank you.